We're talking about getting screwed on a comic book Grail. A CGC 9.0 Hulk 181 was cracked out just to find that the Marvel value stamp was missing. And in this video, we're going to talk about the entire details of the situation. And I'm really curious and would like to know from you guys, after you listen to the whole thing and how it went down, who do you think is at fault here? Who do you think is responsible for the loss in value? Because it's about a 50% cut in value in this specific situation. But before we get into the details, we are about 70% sold out of the amazing, giant, incredible Bry Box of Mystery. Grand prize, Amazing Fantasy 15, valued at $19,000. The first appearance in Origin of Spider-Man. Other prizes include an X-Men one and your chance at the rarest Marvel Ivan Tao variant to date, featuring Miles Morales. Absolutely stunning artwork. All of the details are available now at bryscomics.com. So here are the details of how this went down. My friend Harvey, I've done lots of trades with Harvey here on the channel for Grails and other stuff. He bought a Hulk 181 9.0 in January of this year. He decided to trade that book, so it's been about 10 months since he bought it, and he traded it to somebody else. That new owner of the Hulk 181, and this was a Hulk 181 9.0 old label, had the intention of cracking it out, pressing it, and resubmitting it to CGC. So when the new owner got the book, the trade was completed, he cracked out the Hulk 181 9.0 and found that the Marvel value stamp was missing. So for those that don't know, Marvel value stamps are like this little square, like coupon stamp thing inside of books that were collectible. You know, the intention when they put them in the books was that you would cut them out and collect all the Marvel value stamps. Well, the interesting thing is that now that greatly devalues the comic book because it's considered incomplete because it's missing the Marvel value stamp. And typically a qualified book gets that dreaded green label from CGC. Typically it's about 50% of the value of the book. There's some nuance to that, but for this video, it's about 50% of the value is gone. And so for a Hulk 181 9.0, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, a huge hit in the value. So what happened here? There's a couple different possible scenarios. The first scenario that isn't what happened in this case is that somebody is trying to scam somebody. So this is how the scam would work. You would buy a Hulk 181 blue label, and you would also buy a Hulk 181 green label, and you would crack out that blue label and switch it with the green label and then claim to the person you bought it from that it was qualified and that you want a refund for your money. And if they agree to that, then you send them the qualified label and you keep the blue label. That would be the scam. It's incredibly unlikely that this would happen, that you could pull this off for several reasons. Number one, books are fairly easy to identify. Like this 9.0, because of the cut and the miswrap, and I'll put some pictures up on the screen, you can clearly tell that that wasn't what happened here, that this is the exact same book, that the person who cracked it out is telling the truth, that they cracked it out and it was missing the Marvel value stamp. The other possible scenario here is that CGC made a mistake, that when they graded this book almost 20 years ago, because this is an old label case, CGC was in its inception, they missed the fact that this book was missing the Marvel value stamp, which is incredibly rare and unlikely for CGC to do, especially on a book like Hulk 181, because that is such a notorious thing to check for. Everybody, the first thing you do when you're buying a raw copy or, of course, grading a Hulk 181 is you check for that Marvel value stamp. But it does appear to be what happened here. I mean, CGC is made up of humans and humans make mistakes. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities. It's just unlikely. And I think this is one of those situations that it was just bad luck that CGC missed the fact that this book was missing the Marvel value stamp. Now, when we talk about responsibility, I think the first failure of somebody to take responsibility for this was the person who submitted the book, all right? Assuming that the person who submitted the book knew that this book was missing the Marvel value stamp, if you submit a Hulk 181 and you know it's qualified and it comes back a blue label, you don't just take that as a win and sell the book as a blue label. No, you need to contact CGC and let them know that they misgraded the book. You need to send it back and they will grade it correctly with the qualified label. That's the first person who I think has the most responsibility in this case is the person who originally submitted it, assuming that they knew that the book was qualified. So what happened was the person who cracked it out contacted Harvey and said, it's missing the Marvel value stamp and I'd like a refund on this purchase. Whether that was cash was exchanged or they reversed the trade, that was the request. And Harvey, being the stand-up, amazing person that he is, honored that request and made that person whole. He said, I'm really sorry, man. I'll make you whole, send it back, we'll get this figured out. So kudos and hats off to Harvey for being a stand-up, amazing person because he didn't have to do that. So I did a little digging. I wanted to talk to different members of the community and see what is the general stance of dealers and sellers in the comic community for a situation like this. So I contacted Comic Link, I contacted Heritage Auctions, I contacted consignment pages on Instagram, and I contacted CGC. And here's what I found. Without exception, every single dealer that I talked to said that if you crack out a book on your own, that's where their responsibility ends. That they're selling the book, they did not grade the book. So if you have a problem with the grade, you need to take it up with CGC. That is exactly verbatim what Heritage and Comic Link, all the other consignment pages and everything said, is that we're not responsible. We didn't grade the book. So, you know, we can't guarantee CGC's grade. So I contacted CGC and I said, CGC, what happens if I bought a book at an auction house that you graded and I crack it out and find that you misgraded it, that it was missing a coupon page or that the book was incomplete and you graded it as though it was complete? What recourse do we have? And CGC said, if you crack the book out yourself, we have zero liability and responsibility. But if you sent the book to us to be cracked, pressed, and regraded, and we found that we made a mistake, then you have a claim, and you can file a claim with CGC, and you would likely get compensated for the value of the book. It's a case-by-case basis. They don't have like a blanket policy of how this is handled. It's a case-by-case basis. And you'll probably have to sign some kind of non-disclosure agreement saying that you're not going to, tell the world that CGC made a mistake. But you would likely get compensated if CGC was the one to crack it out. Harvey made the person who he traded the book to whole. At this point, Harvey's the one who took the loss. So Harvey reached out to the person that he bought the book from. And he said, hey, this book that I bought from you, it's been 10 months now. We cracked it out. It's missing the Marvel value stamp. Is there anything you can do? And that seller said, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, that sucks. I didn't know, obviously. I thought, it was graded by CGC. I thought it was it was actually what they graded it as. And I'm not in a financial position to compensate you for this. So unfortunately, there's nothing that I can do. And so Harvey takes the loss. That's where the buck stops there. Like if that person were to say, oh, that really sucks, I didn't know. Yeah, let me give you a refund, then great. And then that person can go to the person that he bought it from. But you're not going to get very far down the line before somebody says, it's not my fault, right? Because, it really isn't their fault. They bought a book that was graded by CGC and they assumed that CGC graded it correctly. So what's the end takeaway from this whole story? The end takeaway is not to boycott CGC. Please don't make this like the end takeaway is that, CGC can't be trusted or that you shouldn't crack books out at all. That's not the end takeaway here. The whole point of this video is to just show this story and show what happened and show what some possible risks are if you're going to crack a book out of a CGC case by yourself. I still stand by and believe that cracking undergraded books out from CGC and getting grade bumps is a fantastic way to fund this hobby. I've done countless videos on it here on this channel, and it's something that I think is a worthy endeavor. It's so lucrative, I think you should get your feet wet and try it yourself. But just understand this risk. And as the book goes up in value, the risk goes up in value. And so the one way that you can totally mitigate the risk is have CGC crack, press, and regrade the books themselves. You know, I've had a lot of people have success with getting grade bumps this way of just having CGC do it. Now, there's a couple things to this. Number one, I don't think CGC is the best in the business when it comes to pressing. I think there are individuals on Instagram. My friend Hugh at Grade Bump Comics over in Canada, I personally think is the best in the biz. I have the incredible results with him CPRing stuff. I think you can find better pressers and get better results, but you're taking that risk if there's anything wrong with the book. So I'll give an example of where I passed on a situation like this. So there was a Tales of Suspense 39 graded at a 9.6 up at auction, and it ended for $150,000, which was actually incredibly low sale for this book. It's the first appearance of Iron Man, incredibly rare and difficult to find in high grade, like a 9.6, but it was CBCS graded. And so the intent would be to buy that book, crack it out, and cross it over to CGC. Just changing the case would drastically increase the value of this book. I mean, we could be talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And at the time, I thought, do I put my entire life savings into this CBCS graded book? It was an old label CBCS. It was like 20 years ago that it was graded, or one of the first CBCS graded books. And I thought, what if I crack it out and it's restored? What if I crack it out and it's missing a coupon page? The only way you get the bump in value is if you cross it over from CBCS to CGC. So, I mean, having CBCS crack it out would be pointless. The only point would be to cross it over to CGC. And if I sent, even if I sent it CBCS graded to CGC to have them crack and press it, they're not going to stand behind CBCS's certification. To them, it's just a raw book, essentially. So I decided it wasn't worth the risk, that if that were to happen and it were to be qualified or restored, it would just be a massive, complete loss, and I decided not to do it. So again, the point of this video is not to point fingers, it's not to assign blame, it's not to mention names or anything like that. It's to just have a cautionary tale. Harvey wanted me to tell this story because he wanted to help other collectors. I mean, he's just an amazing, incredible person. So that's the whole point of this, and I am curious to know from you guys, what do you think about what transpired here? Do you think anything should have been done differently? And leave a note down in the comments, because I'm curious to know what the sentiment of the community is. You know, the sentiment from dealers is clearly that you're responsible if you crack the book out. But what do you think? Do you think that's how it should be? Do you think it should be something else? Don't forget, we always do a giveaway here on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win a free slab each and every month. We also have a giveaway over at brycecomics.com. If you sign up for the newsletter, you're entered to win a free slab each and every month, and you get first access to new inventory, new slabs. You can use code COLLECT10. That code is always active for in-stock items, and we do have some amazing, giant, incredible Bry Box of Mysteries left with the Amazing Fantasy 15 grand prize. We're about 70% sold out at the time of recording this video. Lastly, follow me over on Whatnot. Link down in the description for $15 towards your first purchase. I always have items in the buy it now for 15 bucks, so you can stop by and pick up a free book. Thank you as always for sticking with me to the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.